Hey, what's up, you guys? This is PDQ Muscle here with another video. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. If this is your first time on my channel, I have a beautiful F8 green wide body Scat Pack with a 6-speed. I'm very happy with the manual transmission. And if you're watching this video, you either have a Scat Pack or you're looking to buy one. So I'm going to kind of give you the no bullshit review of my Scat Pack. If you're not new to this channel, I just want to say thank you guys again for tuning in, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out a ton to reach more people and, you know, make better videos. So I'm going to dive right into it. I've owned this car for a month now, and I just kind of want to give you guys my experiences so far, expectations versus reality, kind of the whole gist of it. I started looking for one of these when they came out. And even more so when the wide body came out, because I just thought it looked so freaking sick, and I was like, man, I just really want to own one of these cars. So a little backstory, I did end up buying an M3 instead of a Scat Pack back a few years ago, and I had a ton of fun, but you know, Beamers are just too expensive to maintain, too hard to work on yourself. So anyway, I got rid of that, joined the Air Force, went to Korea for a year, and I finally came back and was like, I'm in a position to buy it. I'm going to buy it, especially before they're gone. As you've heard, this is the last year they're freaking making Scat Packs, so I am kind of curious to see in the future if they will be kind of harder to come by, a little more expensive, because as you have all seen, these Scat Pack values definitely, they hold their value. All these performance Dodges do. So I think it's really interesting, because they do make a lot of them, that they hold their value so well. And what does that tell you about the quality of the car itself, for it to be so desirable still? Because you have things like my Beamer. My Beamer was a $80,000 retail car, and I bought it for low 20s. So it just goes to show that these are really built well and desirable cars. So if you're tuning into this video, I'm guessing you're kind of going down the rabbit hole, watching a lot of other people's videos of reviews and kind of what their experiences have been, and are planning on getting one, or just got one, or have had one for a while. So my 1 month review, we're going to start off with, you know, right when I got in it. So I had not driven a stick shift in probably 10 years prior to me getting this car. So it was definitely nerve-wracking when I went on the test drive. So I definitely recommend, if you've never driven a stick shift, before you buy it, to drive somebody's stick shift car, see if they'll let you, and kind of practice on that a little bit first. It is going to be different in every car, the clutch feel, and just kind of the whole experience of the car, the horsepower and torque and all that stuff. So I was a little bit nervous. I didn't stall it at all, but I was definitely nervous and super focused, and that kind of followed just the whole rest of the day. I think I drove it like 2 hours in traffic, and I was like, man, this kind of sucks. But you get used to it, you know? And so now that I've had it for a month, it's just like second nature. My shifts are smooth, and it's just been an amazing experience. That was also another thing I told you, that the wide body was kind of a huge seller for me. Once I saw that those came out, I was like, man, these things are sick, and I need to have one. So I was like, I also need to have the 6-speed, because it just seems like it's so much more engaging and fun. And when you're buying one of these kind of cars, it's a classic throwback muscle car, right? With modern taste, and what better way to complement your muscle car than with a stick shift? And I know a lot of people will use the argument that automatics are, you know, faster on the drag strip and all that stuff, which they are completely right. But if you're buying a Scat Pack in particular, you're probably not really dragging it. You know, not saying you wouldn't, or that you can't, but you know, if you're going to be taking this car to the drag strip, you know, you might as well have a Hellcat so you can be faster. If speed is really your main concern, is what I'm saying. But to each is their own. I definitely respect everybody's opinion, but I did decide to go with the manual, and it had its own kind of learning curve, if you will. So the next thing I noticed after driving an hour and a half, and then driving another hour and an hour and a half back to where I actually live after I drove it to my friend's house, I noticed how fast it really does go through gas, right? So I don't want to say it's terrible, but it's pretty bad. So let me see if I can turn this on for you guys. So right now I am averaging 13.9 miles per gallon. And I want to let you guys know that is kind of a mixture of highway driving and city driving. Probably a little more city driving than highway driving, but it's just something to keep in mind. I did go on a pretty long drive the first weekend I had it. I went on a 6-hour drive up north to go see some family, and you know, a 6-hour drive back home, so 12 hours in total. And if you're wondering kind of how that was in the manual, it was not bad at all. So obviously when you're in traffic, it does kind of suck. It's tedious. You're on the clutch and first pretty much the whole time, and just it's not a good time to drink a coffee, we'll just say that. So most of the time for me though, I was in 6th gear, just cruising, not a lot of shifting, and enjoying myself. The nice thing about this is in 6th gear, it's really overdrive, so it keeps your RPMs low to where you're actually getting decent gas mileage. I was averaging on that whole trip, so I reset my trip monitor, or my gas kind of miles per gallon calculator. I reset it and I averaged 20 miles to the gallon, and that was the whole trip there and the whole trip back. 20 miles per gallon, which I thought was pretty impressive. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it would have been a little bit worse, especially in the manual. But if you are in 6th gear while you're cruising and not driving crazy, you can get 20 to 24, I'd say. You then, you know, expect probably 14 to 15 city driving, especially if, you know, you're winding out the gears a little bit and kind of trying to listen to the engine, which as you probably will, because that's the reason why you bought the car. So yeah, I noticed that it goes through gas pretty quickly. I'm spending about $100 to fill up, and I'm filling up at least probably once a week. So that's just something to keep in mind, you know. To fast forward a little bit, yeah, and also it really depends on what you're doing with the car. So if you're somebody that likes to burn them, you know, this car will do it. So I haven't really done like full burnouts or anything, but I definitely noticed like when I'm going first to second, second to third, it'll chirp going into second, it'll chirp going into third, which is kind of cool. I don't do it often, but it is, it can do it, which is nice. It can definitely get the back tires loose if you really want it to. Like I said, I haven't done it. I don't want to buy new tires on this car, and I really don't want to abuse the car too much either. I just kind of want to be able to enjoy it and take care of it well. Once I get closer to paying it off, I may start, I don't know, doing a little bit more fun things with it. But for the time being, you know, it's still new to me, and I'm still enjoying it. So we'll just kind of see where the wind takes me. But I have definitely noticed myself, at least in the past like week or two, just with becoming more comfortable with it, kind of pushing it just a little bit more. So like I'll take a corner just a little bit faster, kind of see what it can handle. And one thing I do really want to note is how fantastic the traction control is, because we had a rainy day a couple days ago, and as you guys know, if it doesn't rain for a while, and the first rain, kind of the oil on the streets will make you just not get as good of traction. So I definitely noticed that when I would get on it a little bit, my traction control was interfering quite a bit more than it usually would when it's dry outside. And when I say it was wet outside, it wasn't like raining, but the streets, it had just rained, and it was like probably misting a little bit. But the traction control is fantastic. So I keep mine in street just because I don't want to wreck my car that I just got and I'm still getting comfortable with. So I'll play around with it a little bit more in the future, but for the time being, I'm completely okay with it being in street and having full traction control on, because this is a powerful car, and if you don't respect the power and know how to handle the power, it could be very sad, as you've seen probably many Hellcat and Scatpack wrecks. It's because people turn off traction control and they just can't control it. You know, it's a powerful car. So that's something to keep in mind when you do buy one, is to practice if you're going to be doing anything kind of crazy, so you don't end up destroying, you know, your beloved car. So I'd say another thing for me was just the comfortability. You know, it's totally a comfortable car, and I know you hear it kind of a lot with any sports car. It's like, yeah, the Challenger is super comfortable. You do make sacrifices with the comfort. It just really depends on what you're looking for. So are you looking for a track-focused car? This isn't probably the car to get. But for me, I was like, I want a well-rounded car that I can be comfortable in. I'm not going to take it to the track. I'm not going to race it. You know, maybe eventually I might drag it, but that's if I start making more power, if I start boosting it. And that's a good segue into the next thing I want to talk about. Is I've had this car for about a month, and I've noticed that I'm already starting to get used to the power. Because at first it's like, you know, you do a couple pulls and you're like, holy wow, you know, this thing's got power, it's got a lot of torque, and it'll put you back in your seat when you get on it, especially in the 6-speed, because it's, I think, a little more dramatic, I think, with the shifts and everything. But it definitely, you feel the power, but you do that so many times and you're like, it would be nice to have a few extra horsepower, you know. So that's why a lot of people get the Scatpack, and then they're like, man, the Hellcat would be kind of sweet though. But I've been researching a lot about boosting these cars, and it looks like it's going to be quite expensive if you want to do it the right way, because these engines aren't designed to be boosted without, you know, getting forged internals, upgraded camshaft, and basically just a whole engine rebuild, basically. Before you can even add the boost to it. And you have to also look at transmission, you know, how much power would you be putting down to it. So it looks like it's about $20,000. So at that point, you know, you might as well get a Hellcat if you're going to put that much money and effort into it. But I think that maybe someday, so first off, I'm completely happy with the power, and I don't think it's worth it for me, in my case, to buy a Hellcat. But maybe someday I think it would be kind of cool to do like a either supercharger, procharger, or maybe even a twin turbo build on a built 6.4 flat platform. It would be cool in the sense of that it's unique, and that people, I would leave the Scatpack badges on so I could kind of just not, so people don't know it is, and then when they see it, they're like, wow, that's really cool. So just to kind of add to the unique builds, I think that what really made me think about it more was when I went to a car meet, and you can definitely tell that people with the unique cars that aren't stock get a lot more attention, and people are like really amazed by it. So I think that was something that I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool to have like just a build that's not super common. And, you know, you got a ton of Hellcats out there, you got a ton of Scatpacks, and even RTs. So it'd be kind of cool to have something that was a little oddball, and people are like, wow, and kind of just spark some conversation. So that wraps it up, guys. Overall, I've freaking enjoyed it. It is expensive on gas, but like I said, you're not buying one of these cars because you're, you know, you're not buying one of these cars because you don't want to pay for the gas, you know. So you're just going to have to bite the bullet, pay for the gas, be at the gas station just a little bit more, and just enjoy the car. You know, I have not really had any complaints other than just like kind of the typical when you own a manual transmission. But I think juice is worth the squeeze in my case. I definitely love it. And if you guys have any other questions or maybe suggestions for new videos, I will definitely be posting kind of, you know, what I want to talk about and what I have interest in. But if you guys have any other ideas or want anything, I can definitely reply in the comments, or even make a video if I think it's definitely something that I think my viewers should see. So also, I will be starting to do some basic mods, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to record myself doing it and kind of do some how-to videos, and I think that would be really cool. So if you guys are looking forward to doing some mods, maybe you just got a Scatpack, maybe you've had one for a while, or you're looking to get one, it would definitely be useful to be able to reference and see how it's done and have some reviews on it. So thank you guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.